Welcome to the Practice You podcast. My name is Elena Brower. Together, we'll explore and enjoy content and conversations around mastering transitions in our relations, our wellness, our careers, our families, and especially in our missions and visions. You are invited to learn and love and listen with me. Welcome to Practice You. Welcome back to the podcast. I have with me a dear one, a new friend who just claimed that he's been following me for some time. With such respect, I give you Sah D'Simone. Sah is a spiritual guide. He's a meditation teacher. He's an internationally known transformational speaker and best-selling author, which is no small thing, I now know, who has dedicated his life to helping others to live in alignment and to achieve your highest potential. He is pioneering a spiritually sassy, I love that, heart-based healing movement that is rooted in scientifically proven techniques, a method in which joy and authenticity illuminate your path to enlightenment. Sah's infectious enthusiasm is why he's here. We have actually a lot to cover today regarding everything from Tantric Buddhism to contemplative psychotherapy. Your first book was called 5-Minute Daily Meditations. That was the international bestseller. You've worked with, oh my goodness, all kinds of people, including Kanye West. Yo, I was listening to him on Joe Rogan the other day. And crazy as he is, I so want to curse, but I won't. Crazy as that man is, I can't stop listening to him. Was it fun to work with him?
It was so much fun. And it was actually reflecting back. I had a sleepless night like a few days ago, and they never happened. So it was very jarring. And I was really like, oh my God, what's happening to me? I was with seeing somebody intimately, romantically. So I felt like, oh my God, it's just this newness that's happening. But I was reflecting on that because the other time that I've had this like sleepless night was the night before I went out to work with Kanye in Chicago. And we've gone to Uganda together, and so it's been a really fun journey to be in that space. And I've listened to his music for over 10 years.
Of course.
So when one of my mentors asked me, "Hey, I was teaching at Kripalu at that point. I'll tell you the story briefly. I was teaching at Kripalu retreat with my sister, and I was like, shit, I'm already living the dream, honey. What's up? Teaching at Kripalu, this is a high vision for me." And then my teacher was one of my mentors said, "Sah, can you come down to New York tomorrow? I want you to teach Kanye West how to meditate, and I want him to get to know you." I was like, "What?" I was like, "Harry, I don't think I can come to New York tomorrow. I'm in the middle of a retreat. There's all these people here in this intensive work." And he's like, "Sah, trust me, come." So he sends me a car. I go down, and then we hit it off. And I think despite everything that's out there in the media,
I have a lot of respect for that guy.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and to the whole family too. I've met them briefly and being in their space, but I think they've worked hard for what they have.
Also, I have to say this. Anyone who can make gospel as cool as he made it, something is coursing through that man.
That's right. I feel the same.
I want to talk about you today. I'm holding in my hands a copy, of course. I'm holding in my hands a copy of Spiritually Sassy, and I actually did not want to like this book because I didn't. I swear. I tell everybody the truth. I didn't want to like it. I was like, oh my God, title. And then I started to read it, and I started to realize what you're talking about. The Sassy Foundation is chapter 2, page 19, if you're holding the book. The first big heading says, own all of you. And the first question you ask your reader is, why are shitty feelings my default? Now, I don't care who you are or how old you are listening to this podcast right now. If you're listening to us, You are asking the same question. I am asking the same question. I have everything I have ever wanted in my whole life. Why are shitty feelings my default? And you go into a really beautiful, well-articulated explanation. We come into life with an internal garden filled with karmic seeds, virtuous and non-virtuous. And with the right conditions, they blossom as mental tendencies in either direction. And all those mental tendencies create habitual patterns. And all those habitual patterns either support our hearts or keep us stuck. It's just really well said. So I want to thank you for the way you're creating a lot of metaphor and visual for your reader. But the question in this chapter is the following. We're on page 26 now.
Thank you, by the way, for that feedback.
Of course. It's really good. What we talk about when we talk about the heart, okay? This is the real, like, if we spend 10 minutes here, I'll be happy. I want to talk about what you feel the heart actually means. You're obsessed with it, I know. And when it's time for us to get deeper into this heart curriculum, and most of my, my listener who's listening right now, for most of the time, you're in your heart if you're listening to this podcast. We know that to be true.
You're the embodiment of it. You're the embodiment, Elena.
Oh, bless your heart. I really do try. I really do try. That's the truth. And so, my listener, you're in your heart most of the time. The times when you're not in your heart, I just want to hear, Sah. I want to hear you talk about what the heart means to you, how you found this as your calling to focus in this way. And anything you'd like to offer my listener who's listening, who might be having a kind of a shitty day or even a great day about the heart.
Yeah. I mean, the way I have interpreted the heart, I was trying to figure out what's a simple and relatable enough to write about this most awakened part of our being. In Buddhist philosophy, the terminology is our Buddha nature. So I use Buddha nature sort of interchangeable in the book as well. It's just taking refuge in that part of us that holds all of our potential, that holds all of our, creativity, sass, love, compassion, joy, wisdom. It's taking refuge in that part of us, moment to moment. It's remembering that part of us is literally at the base of our being. It's our job as spiritually sassy warriors, practitioners, to just do our best effort to uncover that part of us. So when I speak to the heart, I'm speaking about that part. And it's within the heart that, in Buddhist philosophy, it talks about the Brahma Viharas, right? The 4 qualities of the awakened heart: love, compassion, wisdom, and joy. But if you look at the traditional scriptures, love is a different word for it. Compassion is the same word. Wisdom is a different word. And joy is a different word. But I just felt like it is my job, now that I've been given this opportunity, to translate it in a way that's relatable, that is simple and really digestible. So when I speak to the heart, I'm speaking about that potential to look up at the sky and recognize that a dark cloud doesn't define the sky itself. And a dark cloud can't overshadow how bright the sun is. So it's remembering that moment to moment. I think often, like, I woke up crunchy this morning. I was like, oh shit, I'm talking to Elena Brower today. Oh my God. Let's do the work, honey. Let's do the work. Let's sit down, 3 rounds of Kapalbhati, put on some music, sit down and concentrate the mind, have a cup of coffee, go upstairs, take a deep breath. And then slowly, as I heard your voice, my nervous system was like, you're okay, honey. You're a good girl. Go surf. But it's in these moments that, like, when we wake up feeling crunchy or wobbly or depressed, whatever variation of fragmented we may be, it's remembering that they're empty in nature. They're transient. They do not define who we are at the base of our being. They do not define our day, our lives, but oftentimes we have a crunchy moment in the morning and our whole day becomes a crunchy fast. And then the next day follows through. So when we speak about the heart, we're speaking about, like, that loving witness that can be tender and kind to all these passing waves without overly identifying with thoughts or feelings or emotions, and just being with them and not becoming them. That's a little bit of it. But, I think just something like that. I think it's
Yeah.
everyone has a different language for the heart. I think in the beginning of the book, I sort of speak to the heart. Might Some people might address to the God within, their
Yeah.
soul,
Yeah.
spirit, whatever it may be. I just wanted to keep, and you see it in the book. I don't even speak about the word ego once because I wanted to sort of strip away this notion of ego, or for me in my own vocabulary, the some of the Western language in regards to mental and spiritual transformation. So I
Mm.
kept it the mind and the heart, and it's not that they're separate; they're interchangeable. They're indistinguishably one. But it's as you work through the mind, as you purify your mind, what is at the base of that mind is an awakened heart, and
Yeah.
that's something that we all innately have. And it took me, honey, to go all the way to the north of India to sit in a retreat with a teacher and say everyone has basic goodness.
Mm.
I don't give a fuck about your past. Sorry, can I curse in the podcast?
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
like I
Yeah.
already have.
I'm
Okay.
terrible. Yes.
Okay, good. And it took me this teacher to say everybody is innately good. Everyone has this Buddha nature at the base of their being. And I was like, whoa, how have I been walking around feeling like a mortal sin? How have I been walking around carrying the weight of my past and allowing my past trauma to define my present experience, to define how I think about my future? And just in that moment, something unlocked. And then more, I was like, oh shit, this Buddhist stuff, I think it's for me. I think they're saying things that, when you hear truth, your whole body's like, I know, it's true. The
Yeah.
texture of truth we know. So that's when I just decided to like, okay, embark on this journey. So that's a little something in regards to the heart. And if you're feeling crunchy, know that the crunch doesn't define who you are, honey. Just a passing wave asking you to awaken more of who you truly are. I speak in the
Mm.
book about being sort of like a spiritual diplomat. Like, not every thought requires a reaction. Not every feeling is the right guide to your life. You
Right.
know, can you
Right.
orient your relationship to your thoughts and to your feelings from a place of pause,
Mm.
from a place of present moment awareness? Because if you haven't paused or taken a breath or embody the present moment, you're going to respond to that crunchy feeling or to that crunchy thought pattern from your past or from your future worries. You are not accessing the here and the now where you feel safe or where you have access to the heart,
Mm.
to this awakened part of you. So it does take the pause. You want to access the heart on demand. Throughout the book, we talk over and over again about it's the pause, the breath, an inner smile, and then allow that inner smile to show up in your face, even if it doesn't feel genuine, but try it over and over again. At some point, you're going to be able to rely on yourself like, shit, how have I been living being my worst enemy? And now I can trust my mind to be oriented towards benevolence, towards creativity, towards kindness and altruism, instead of,
Mm.
and then the breath doesn't get shallow, it gets deep and long, but we have to continuously retrain, reorient our entire mind, body, towards the awakefulness of our heart.
You have written that as humans, we've been given the ability to think and feel. We've been given our senses, smell, sight, touch, taste, hearing. These are the tools, you say, that we have to help us recalibrate ourselves back into the heart. And then you said something that I underlined and made a star. I believe the purpose of human life is to get into the heart so much that you become a broadcast of healing, of love. And then you put a dash in. I love the use of dashes.
Mm.
And you say you become a compassion factory
Mm.
where you're also helping others to enter into a balanced and regulated state. So this is where I want to focus the rest of our talk because I think it's important.
Mm-hmm.
How can my listener do work that helps someone else get into a balanced and regulated state? And that, I think, is the key to
Mm-hmm.
going forward right now in this world at this time. We are right on the cusp of the election as we record this. We don't know what is coming. We are hoping and praying for the best possible outcome, obviously. But I
Mm-hmm.
thought it might be nice to go into this regulating nervous system conversation. I'm now on page 59, using the nervous system to support ways of being, new ways of being. The brain doesn't work alone, of course. It's in constant communication with our nervous system, two main parts, sympathetic, parasympathetic. We know that the sympathetic nervous system is the way we react and respond to any stressor. It mobilizes the body's energy. all the resources during times of stress. That's your fight or flight. The parasympathetic nervous system conserves energy and resources during all the relaxed states. This is rest and digest. This is where you just said something that was so sweet. You said that in starting the conversation, your nervous system kind of de-escalated and de-crunchified, if you will.
De-crunchified. Hey!
New word.
Yes.
But this is, I think, where you're shining in your work, because I do feel like your whole mission is to help folks get away from the sympathetic part of the nervous system and back into the parasympathetic aspect and start to feel that sense of rest and nurturance and well-being more of the time. I want to know how and who inspired this in you first. And then I want you to take us through perhaps a little bit of color and context for how you work now to help folks regulate their nervous systems.
Thank you for this question. So beautiful. And thank you for reading that little passage there.
Yes.
It kind of goes back to like how I found the way to like regulate my nervous system. It was, really sitting in meditation. I think there was a big turning point for me when I had actually entered such a relaxed state that all the stuff that I hadn't looked at, was like, girl, we're coming for you, honey. You ready to face your shit? I was living a 30-day meditation retreat in Kathmandu, Nepal. And during those 30 days, I was faced with so much stuff from my past. I was like, oh my God, I've been such an asshole. Wow. And that was quite painful to sit and take responsibility over all of that. But it was through concentration of mind, right? Sitting down every day. I think there's so many kinds of meditation. I even offer so many of them in the book, but I constantly come back to, concentration of mind, right? It's like find a single point of focus. It could be the breath, it could be a mantra, it could be a sound, but I ideally work with the breath because it's a natural resource. It's always there. It's your anchor into the now. And then from that, deep connection to the breath, you are able to really relax your entire mind and nervous system in a completely new way. And also, the research that I share in the book too shows that someone who's normally anxious or depressed is breathing anywhere from 12 to 16 times per minute. So that's very shallow, very short breath. And then someone who's more in a relaxed state is breathing anywhere from 4 to 6 times per minute. So it's a very different style of breathing. And that breath, when you're breathing like that, you're entering into the supermarket, into the bank, into the grocery store, into wherever you are, even you're sitting in traffic. And we are underestimating that if you have that kind of breathing pattern, that coherent style of breathing, you're impacting, the spiritual temperature of everything around you. You're communicating safety, you're communicating creativity, you're communicating that everybody belongs. You're communicating that we all have the potential to be the most fierce, delicious, amazing beings that we can be. And we have the tools to be free of mental physical suffering. So when I speak about the compassion factory or I call it the blessing factory, it's embodying, doing the practice with the intention to support other people. The book is essentially making altruism sexy and cool and relevant and necessary as a path to freedom. I think a lot of people in this space do all these self-care practices and they become so intoxicated with the good feelings, but they forget the whole purpose of it, right? So you are actually then becoming this radio wave of loving kindness and tenderness and joy and potential. Non-verbally, it's being communicated about you, So that's a little something in regards to like the broadcast of what we can be when we do these practices, And I always say to in the work, it's like, as you're doing these practices, notice how often you're genuinely thinking about the well-being of others. That will tell where you're at in your spiritual evolution, because if you're still completely intoxicated by my trauma, my pain, my this, my, you sort of miss the plot of the spiritual path, right? You kind of pivoted away from what this whole thing is about. get free as quickly as possible and help as many people get free. So there's a sense of urgency to the work. And so how I discovered going back to that question, how I discovered that it was sitting in meditation and just, entering to these deep states of really sharp concentration. And then being able to carry that concentration throughout my day and noticing how with this like high level of concentration, how I'm able to relate to external distractions and internal distractions in a completely new way. I'm not completely hooked and taken by them as I used to be. It's like it's that old prom dress memory shows up, and I'm not all of a sudden wearing the prom dress and being squeezed tight, but I'm still entering the world through that view, with that perspective. All of a sudden there's like, oh, this dress no longer fits, honey. Hey girl, pass. And you allow it to pass with ease. It doesn't, it's like we're no longer a Velcro mind. It's more like a velvety mind. It slides like really beautifully. And then how I am like helping people to do that is, of course, teaching like traditional seated practice, but then modernizing it, bringing the concentration and the intention into movement. And that's where the dance the dance component to my whole teaching has become so prevalent. It's really,
That's how I fell in love with you.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Watching you dance. No, it's true. You know how many people tried to introduce us so many times. And finally I was just like, oh my God, I saw you dance. And I was like, that needs to be my friend right now.
Oh my God. Thank you, love. And honestly, like that dance, it was me finishing. The dance comes as the tail end of my morning practice, right? Wake up, say my prayers, set my intention, and breathe, meditate, go for a run, usually a short run, and then dance. So you're catching at the highest high when I am like fully lit with my own cocktail, right? My own internal spiritual cocktail of practices. And then slowly from putting it out into the world, Deepak Chopra's team said, girl, what is this, honey? Come into the office, let's talk. And I was like, oh shit, what's up?
He's the best.
I know.
I love that man.
I know. Seriously.
I love him so much.
Yes. And then coming to the office, they're like, whatever it is that you're doing there, can you teach at our retreat? And I was like, there's no really a method for it. It's just like, I bring presence into movement and intention to the dance. And that's what you're seeing out on social media. And then slowly, I had to create a method for it, create a name for it. And then it just has become a very big part of my practice. And I tell people all the time, like, that is the embodiment of being a permission slip. That is the embodiment of your practice, right? Because so often when we overly identify with the crunchiness in our mind, our posture changes. Our posture changes, our jaws clench, our fists get tight, our lower back starts aching. I mean, all the things happen, but when you do the work and you put on some sexy music and a sexy outfit and you strut like a spiritual supermodel and you dance like no one's watching, but then for everyone to see, as a blessing factory, as a compassion factory, then you're really in touch with this grid system that we're all connected to. You're really thinking about the well-being of others from your living room, and you're sending silent blessings everywhere. So that's a little something in regards to that.
I love that. You know what it is? It just parses everything down to the most basic sense of what needs to be done right now. That's it. Deep breathing, have a dance, have a prayer, replace your on 84, you talk about replacing judgment today. Pay attention to the small grudges. I'm so glad we got to this. Pay attention to the small grudges and judgments you hold on to. Try to notice how many there are in a day. And when you multiply that by 7 days, 365 days, you can see how small day-to-day grudges and judgments become giant trees growing in the garden of your mind, blocking your connection to your heart. And when you catch yourself, this is what got me. I literally got a tear in my eye. Take a deep breath, you say, and say to yourself, I forgive you. Do you know how this is completely repatterned? I even do this I have the best man on earth as my partner, literally, the mensch of all mensches. And he I still find myself judging. And I started doing this practice maybe, I don't know, 5, 6 weeks ago when I got the book, the hardcover finally came.
Mm.
And I forgive you. I put my little hand on my heart. I say, I forgive you. And I move on. And my house is like so peaceful. You got to see my kid playing the piano every day. We have dinner every night. I mean, we've always done that, but it's like seamless now.
Oh
And I'm
God.
convinced it's because I'm doing this.
Oh shit! This is
I
so
know.
good to hear. I wish you
I
could see the
know.
size of my smile.
I can
Oh,
feel it. It's that simple stuff, I think, that the world needs most right now.
yeah, yeah. I speak to this often. I think when the spiritual path becomes complicated, run the other way. You know, the masters that I've had the honor of studying with, they're so simple and they teach the same thing over and over and over again until you know inside out with your eyes closed. And you are so embodied in that. And then you go to the next level, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I started this thing, this practice because this is so, it's so, I mean, it's the truth of it. It's like you're in an Uber. I was living in New York City up until earlier this year. And you're in an Uber and you just got your coffee and you're in the Uber and you're about to take a sip of your coffee and you're hoping the coffee is like, your latte is like warm and delicious, but the coffee is warm. It's not hot how you wish it was. And it's winter in New York, right? And you get in the Uber is talking a foreign language really loud. So you're holding on to all these little crunchy bits. You're holding on to all these grudges like, fuck that coffee shop person, fuck this Uber driver. And then you carry on with your day without tending to all of this. And the mind is documenting everything, honey. It's watering the seeds of skillful mind state, skillful words, skillful actions, or it's watering the unskillful, unwholesome, destructive seeds. It's that moment to moment choice, right? So every night when I go to sleep now is I am recounting the good things that I've done, and I'm going through all the little mini grudges. If I'm not doing it as it arises, I'm looking at them and saying, I forgive you, forgive me. I forgive you, forgive me. And what that does at the base of our being, we can't see with the eyes in our face, honey, but it's guaranteed, it's proven. The natural law of cause and effect, aka karma, got your back. And that choice to choose to look and forgive it, if you're weeding out the seeds, you're reading out the stuff that's holding back the seeds of the heart to grow and get access to sunlight and get access to the correct amount of water to grow and blossom. So I highly recommend this. I mean, coming from being so critical in the fashion industry and being paid to be that wild cunt, excuse my language, but that was kind of like the view that people had of me, to being here now, I have to say it's to, wiping out that criticalness. It's been transformative.
Yeah. Tell me, you were in the fashion business. What were you doing?
I started the magazine when I was 23, and then I was bought out of the company when I was 27, turning 28, and that's what set me off on the path.
I see.
Yeah, the magazine was called Bullet with 2 T's, and it was really wild because.
Oh, I remember it.
You remember Bullet? Oh my God.
What year was that?
I left in 2012, November 22nd, 2012.
Mm-hmm.
That was when I left. And then I think
11/22.
Yeah, wow.
That's a good day. 11/22/12.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't think about the number, but thank you for that reflection. And the betrayal and the heartache and the grudges and the revenge and all those narratives kept me so. I was literally living, breathing that poison. I couldn't forgive them, and I couldn't forgive myself. The inability to forgive was what set me off to then buy a one-way ticket to India and be like, girl, let's look at this shit. Like, what are we gonna do with this life? So that's how it all sort of begun.
And I'm going to page now 140. What really matters? When your values are not aligned with what you are doing, it perpetuates suffering. And this is coming from somebody who really lived through this. We now know what matters to you. What matters to you? You know what I like about this book too? There's enough workbooky, workshoppy, even space to write, and really good prompts, just solid prompts. And I really like and appreciate that part, because you are trying to create sort of a holistic look at how to support your inner values and create true joy. And the joy part, I'm now going to skip over to page 159 because I really appreciated your definition of joy. It's on fear, 159, fear the great teacher. When you're focused on a vision and see a clear path, here comes fear, trying to keep you safe. The part of the brain where fear breeds, as we know, is the reptilian brain. It truly thinks shit is trying to kill you in a jungle. So even on an average day when your life is not at all at risk, it sends fear signals throughout your body. And your counter to that, you don't fight it. Instead, you say, what's up, bitch? You want to dance? You want to dance? I feel, I mean, and you talk about joy on other pages, like explicitly throughout the book, but that to me is the funniest thing. Like when fear comes up and you say, yo, you want to dance with me?
That's
you want
right.
to dance with me?
Hey, girl.
It's so, hey, girl, hey. It's so courageous and it's so fun and light and it has a silly to it, which I really love and need. And there just isn't, if you're living and breathing, there isn't the space for that anymore. You know, that's right. It's just ask it to dance and see where it takes you.
That's right. I think it comes down to like, when is enough enough? You know, how long will I be entertaining this fear and letting this fear sort of like run and guide my life? So when you greet the fear with this fierceness, you know, and this staff to dance, in that very moment, you've taken you've done an extremely courageous act, you know, to move through it while, you know, feeling, you know, sexy and beautiful. So you're doing yourself an enormous service. And when you believe the fear and when you let the fear sort of dominate your life and your day, you're doing yourself and the world a disservice, you know. And I speak to fear in regards a lot in this regard. I think at this page in the book, in regards to like not living out your truth, your mission, your purpose. We so often get, oh, I'm so scared of what they're going to say. I'm so scared of how people are going to respond to me, or you know, fear in fear that holds you back from expressing your truth. It's a disservice to yourself and the world, honey. You know, because imagine if more and more people were fully self-expressed. I think a lot of our problems come from our inability to express our truth and trying to live like other people. And that causes so much, you know, imbalance in the mind and disease in the body. But when you greet the fear, say, girl, what's up? Let's dance. Because I know that what I have to do in the world matters and it's needed. And my voice matters and my dreams are necessary healing piece to someone else's puzzle. So thinking from that perspective, you know, you don't stop. You get up and you do it for the sake of all beings, right?
Yep. I really want to thank you so much. I feel like your perspective is a really sweet, bright, shining light right now for a lot of folks who really need to loosen up a little bit, lighten up a little bit, and stop taking it so seriously, everything. I do want to honor the fact that there is a great deal of suffering in the world at this time, and there is, you know, a real issue with regards to how people get along post-election. And I thought, you know, both of us have many folks in our lives who are, quote unquote, on the other side of the fence of this whole conversation regarding for whom they voted or what they believe to be true. And I thought it might be nice just to close with some sort of words or any prayer, any thought that you have as to how we can, acknowledge the divisiveness that's happened and then kind of bring us all back together into one space, one heart, one capital L love.
I love that. One practice that I have it at the back of the book that I do it every morning and night is the Tara mantra, the green Tara mantra. She's a female Buddha, compassion embodied. And the mantra is Om Tare, Tutare, Ture, Soha. Are you familiar with this mantra?
Very much so. And as a matter of fact, for my birthday, I received a giant hand-painted green Tara
oh my God.
from Gurmukh and Guru Shabad.
Oh my God,
You can't
honey.
you can't even imagine. It's sitting right next to me at my desk and it is so beautiful. And so her energy has been with me. So the fact that you're saying this right now is ridiculous.
Well, I was, and I have green tar tattooed on my left arm and my left forearm, really big
No.
too. Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah, yeah. So the green tar one, should we just do a few rounds of it? I mean, you tell me how.
yes.
So I
Yes, I
think
love
we,
that.
and the mantra. There's many translations for it. One way that I like, I speak to it often. It's like wishing all beings to be free of mental physical suffering. All
Mm,
beings with no exception. The key word is no exception, right? Because if we can ease the hook into suffering, then we can remember who we truly are. I love that. This mantra has like, I can say out loud, especially not because you have this connection with Tara, oh, honey, this has saved my life. Moments of suicidal thoughts that were like clearly thick and cluttering my entire perception of who I am in the world. I would just say Om Tare Tare Ture Soha, Om Tare Tare Ture Soha. And I kid you not, I can't, make this shit up. It's like, I would notice the clouds and these thoughts like, fading away slowly with that
mm,
kind of intensity, with that kind of
mm.
power.
You know what I think we should do?
Yeah,
And
please.
also, I want to recommend the Deva Pramal Om
Oh
Tare Tu
my
Tare.
God.
I
Yes.
think that's a real, for my listener, if you're listening and you want to hear this mantra, the way that I love to listen to it is Deva Pramal and Miten,
Mm-hmm.
Miten. Deva is spelled Deva. They have a beautiful recording of Om Tare, Tare, Tu Tare, Tuttare, Om Tare, Tu Tare, Tare So Ha. Is that how
Mm-hmm.
it goes? Yeah,
Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha.
got it.
I love that we have
Let's
this
just
connection. I
It's
love that
crazy.
we have this
They
connection.
literally walked it into my house a week ago.
Oh
It
my
was so
God.
silly. I saw him carrying this big thing wrapped in bubble wrap, and I was like, "Oh my God."
Will you send me a picture? I need to see this. This sounds
Yeah, I
divine.
will. I'll
Okay,
text it to you right after this.
perfect.
Um, okay, so let's do it. Lead us through a
Okay.
few rounds of the Tara mantra.
Okay, so if you are seated on the chair and you're laying down, maybe even, and carry this mantra with you, right? Do it anytime the mind starts to be agitated. Take a deep breath into the nose, long exhale to the mouth. And then let's introduce the mantra. Let's treat the mind to this epic, legendary mantra. Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha. Om Tare
Tare tu,
Tutare Ture
tare
Soha.
so ha.
Om
Om
Tare
tare
Tutare
tu,
Ture
tare so
Soha.
ha.
Om Tare
Tare
Tutare
tu,
Ture
so
Soha.
ha.
Om Tare
Om tare
Tutare
tu,
Ture
so ha.
Soha. Om Tare
Tare
Tutare
tu,
Ture
so
Soha.
ha. Wow, that's good.
I don't know about you,
Oh,
but like the colors are more vibrant where I'm
ooh,
at. The temperature has changed. I'm
wow.
like, oof, yeah,
Full body chills,
yes.
like full body chills, and I like can't not move my body right now. I'm just like twirling in my little on my cushion here, twirling around
uh,
in a circle. Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
Thank
I'm
you
so
for
happy we
that.
have this connection. Oh my
Yes,
God,
yes. And
yes.
I want to thank you too for being here. Just thank you for giving us your time and for the all the study and all the travel and all the hard times that it took to get you to this very light and most of the time contented place because we're all experiencing it
hmm
with
Thank
you.
you. Thank you, honey. Oh my goodness. I can't say enough. I'm so honored and grateful to be here with you and sharing time with you and your audience. Thank you so much for having me.
For sure.
Truly honored. I hope we can hug each other, smell each other's hair at some point, and
Dude,
dance.
my hair smells good. Get ready.
I know it does, honey. I can tell.
Get ready.
So much love to you and
You
everyone
too.
listening. And,
You
and guys,
too.
if anything you take away from this conversation, remember to pause. Remember to pause and to breathe and work with the Tara mantra. I'm everywhere, using that mantra. Every time I start to be a little impatient, I whisper it in my mind, Om Tara 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 Tara, Om Tara, and the hook
Mm,
releases. So
mm.
hope that's helpful for you. Thank you so much.
So much. And I'm going to give my listener your website, which
Okay.
is your full name,
Mm-hmm.
sahdsimone.com. And I'm going to spell it for you. It's SAH, the letter D as in David, Simone, SIMONE.com. And we have the same book cover designer. Did you know that, Rachel?
Really?
Yeah, Rachel Murray.
Oh my God.
She's
I
the
mean, she
best.
killed it. She
She killed it.
fucking
I'm going to
killed
give a
it.
shout out to Rachel. If you're listening to this and you haven't seen the cover of the book, Spiritually Sassy, this is actually, you're going to see the green Tara. No? Is that, no, that's your right outer
That's
arm.
the
Is that your
right.
green
Yeah,
Tara?
that's the right.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
other one.
That's a
But
Tibetan
if you,
dragon.
gotcha. If you're listening to this and you want to see the visual encapsulation of this human and these teachings, look at the cover of Spiritually Sassy. That's all I have to say.
Oh my God.
Sah, I love you, brother, and I
Love
thank
you
you
too.
for your time today.
Love you too, honey. Thank you again so much. Mwah, 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 mwah. Squeezing you.
Mm.
Mm.
Bye, honey.
Bye, my love. Thank you.